Our next speaker, another gentleman who doesn't like plenty talking. It looks like the people who go find leadership, they don't like too much praise, singing. You know, like Nana Ebu or Oba. How do you say Nana Ebu in Ewe? Who comes from my region over here? Nana Ebu, how do you say Nana Ebu in Ewe? Tobi Gonalu. Small Nana Ebu, ni akani bibiri. Nana Ebu, Tobi Gonalu. Hey, my people. If you listen to us, you understand how to speak in tongues. He's got 20 plus years of experience, also in corporate, heavily in corporate. At a time where Africa was about getting its grip on the expansion of the global village through information and communication technology, this gentleman took up the reins of a company called Africa Online and later played a role in public life. Some of us were watching from afar. Today we are a little closer, but are not yet close enough. And we are tapping from him. And I urge us all, just like we tap from Mawina, get ready to tap more.
I must thank Mauna for taking us off. The next two speakers after me will blow your mind. What I'm going to do is only to prepare the way for Dr. Fori and Dr. Ishmael Yamson to come and speak to you. So I say good morning again. Good morning. It's better. It's better. I'm going to talk to you on a subject I've titled Securing the Mandate to Lead. And I'm going to share some few things with you, and I'm going to share some stories with you. I am hoping that as I tell you my story, you'll be encouraged, you'll be inspired, and tomorrow morning, you'll do better than probably what you do today. Let me tell you about two books that I've written. I am told that this conference is free, isn't it? You didn't pay anything. And I was at the back, and I'm also told that they are going to provide you with some refreshment also for free. Hey, everything is free. But the book you must buy. The book can't be free. So that you must buy. My first book is titled Living Beyond Today. I wrote this in 2011 just to share my experiences and just to encourage somebody that no matter where you are coming from, you are capable of getting to the top if you put your mind to it. So I called that Living Beyond Today, and I entitled it The Living Principles for Success Tomorrow. The Living Principles for Success Tomorrow. And in this book, I teach that whatever you are today is as a result of two things that happened yesterday. The decisions you made and the actions you took. That's why you are here in the present state that you are today. Whether you are poor, whether you are rich, whether you are at the top, whether you are at the bottom, is because of the decisions that you took in the past. So I share my life story in this book I entitled Living Beyond Today, The Living Principles for Success Today. And then in 2013, I wrote another one entitled Appetite for Wealth. You know, in Africa, we do everything right, except our pockets. Everything we do it right. What we don't usually do right is managing our finances. And homes have broken down because of finances. Children have been unable to go to school because of finances. Pregnant women have died because of finances. Babies have died because of finances. When you get finances right, you're on the path to helping the next generation after you to live a better life than you ever lived. In my family, no one owned a car. The greatest asset anybody owned in my family was a motorbike. And that was my inspiration, a motorbike. I shared that story in my book, a motorbike, a common motorbike. Because an uncle of mine was the only one who had a motorbike in the family. And I observed that any time my uncle came home, the treatment my grandmother gave him was different. There were plates my grandmother never used, unless this my uncle is in town. There were glasses that she would keep in a cupboard and would never bring the glasses out, unless my uncle is in town. So I observed my uncle and I noticed that this my uncle seems to be the bright star in the family. And the only thing he owned was a motorbike. That was an inspiration. So when I was looking for a career, I decided to model my career around my uncle so that when I get back to the village, I'll be served in the best of plates. That's why I decided to do accounting, because my uncle was an accounts clerk at Controller and Accountant General at Axim. I only grew up to know that an accounts clerk, hey! The man was an inspiration, but he was an accounts clerk. I thought he was a big man. In 1960, there were about 6 million Ghanaians. Each Ghanaian's contribution to the economy was $183. Each Ghanaian. $183 in 1960. The same year, 1960, a country like Botswana is in Africa. Botswana is in Africa. The per capita GDP of Botswana, or the contribution of each citizen of Botswana to the economy, if we put it that way in layman's language, was $58. Nigeria, our neighbors, also in Africa, $93. China. We went to China to borrow 19 billion, right? China. There were 640 million people in China in 1960. The per capita was $90. $90. Ghana's per capita was twice that of China in 1960. So China will come to Ghana and borrow. They will come and beg. And we have to look for some resources to support China, because our economy was twice the value of China. South Korea, they do Hyundai cars. When you go out, you see a Hyundai car for sure. Kia is from South Korea. South Korea's economy was 158. Ghana was better than Nigeria, Botswana, South Korea, and even China. 1960. Fast forward. We're running. Fast forward. 2016. Botswana's economy has grown 116 times. Each citizen in Botswana, if you put their economy together, contributes 6,788. Nigeria has grown 22 times only. Another dead horse. 2,178. China. Remember, we were better than China, isn't it? China, now, today, 8,123. They have grown 90 times. South Korea. At the time they were doing cars, they were learning to do cars. Nkrumah was doing cars in Ghana. They were learning to do cars. At the time, we were doing cars in Ghana. South Korea, 27,538. They have grown 173 times. You and I, our small country called Ghana, we are also growing. But we are growing at the speed of a tortoise. So we have grown. We know that we've not grown. We have grown. We have grown from 183 to 1,500. Not even 2,000. We have grown how many times? 7 times. You know why? When I was growing up in the village called Adesade Village in Cape Coast, When a man comes from work, he takes off his shirt. Then he comes out with a singlet. Then the wife will bring fufu, or if it's kinky, come and put it in front of the man with all the meat in the soup. Then the man will eat. When the man has finished eating, then you call us, Ato Kojo Wambra Faseno. So after eating, he gives us the leftover. You know what that was doing? That was psychologically telling us that leadership is not service. Because if leadership was service, my father or my grandfather wouldn't be giving me the leftover. So I grew up with this mindset, and people have grown up with this mind. Leader is the what? Boss. When you are coming, everybody should give away. We give you the best seat. We give you the front seat. When there's food to be eaten, we give you the best. The leftover, we give the people. Yet the same leaders will stand and tell you that they are here to serve you. They are lying. And that I learned it sitting at a decided village. Say, with him, yes. When they finish, the bones, the thing, and we are happy. We will fight over it. That was how we were seeing. We didn't understand what was happening, but that was how we were seeing it. So at the domestic level, at the family level, leadership broke down. The reality. That is why we are in this state. And I'm coming. Leadership what? Broke down. People were not going through the right process to secure the mandate to lead. And they were seeing leadership as positional in nature. If you have a position, you are a leader. 90% of people in positions are not leaders. That is why we are in crisis. And the crisis is big. It's big. No government can solve it unless you and I decide that we'll solve it. And I'll show you why. At the domestic level, leadership has broken down. At the community level, so we move from domestic to community, leadership has what? Broken down. At the institutional level, organizational level, leadership has what? Broken down. And at the government level, leadership has what? Broken down. Because we don't understand the concept of leadership. Botswana is better than Ghana today. South Korea is better. China is better. Even UK crowd was comparable. UK, at least 183,380. The etumi no moko. Ebenkakra. So UK. But look at a country called Singapore. Small country has nothing. Singapore has nothing. Small country. At the time, 1960, their GDP was 427. Today, you see where they are? 52,960. They have grown 123 times. We have grown how many times? We should close and go home. Because leadership has broken down. So when it's time for refreshment, you all came for leadership, isn't it? So your minerals and your things, give it to your neighbor. Because you are demonstrating what? Leadership. So what I intend to do is to share with you my own experience. What has worked for me. And 20 years is no joke. My first job was as a messenger. A messenger in, not an organizational, in the accounts department of automotive and technical services. That was my first job as a messenger. My second job was accounts clerk at a village called Intronine, working for a company called Kembet Mines. And I was carrying money, young boy like me. I will carry money from Accra every month to the village using commercial transportation and go and pay everybody. All the mine workers, I'll go and pay them. Not one CD got missing in 2 years I did that job. I'll carry money. I'll go and take money from Cooperative Bank. Some of you don't know Cooperative Bank. Cooperative Bank. That's where they had account. Put it in a Ghana must go back. Travel from here to Nkoko and wait to get the bus to go to Intronine. If I get to Nkoko late, the bus would have left. I will sleep at Nkoko station with money. Yet, not one CD got missing. They call it character. Not one CD got missing. All the jobs I've done, I didn't write applications. Somebody will call me. It is not a reflection of competence only, but it is what? Character. That is why somebody will mention your name. There are people that I can call. I was telling my team, I can call. Wherever they are, they will leave and come. Not because I'm short. You can see that. I'm not handsome. But when I call them, they will respond. You know why? Character. If you want to secure the mandate to lead, you build your competence. Competence, it will always open the door for you to enter. Competence is what opens the door for a man to enter a room. What will keep the man in the room perpetually, as long as he wants to stay, is no longer competence. It is character. What will make the man move up and go into the inner chamber of the king is no longer character, conviction. These are the three things. Competence, character, conviction. Competence is the least. Competence you can buy. There are people who own business. You think Bill Gates, he knows something about finance? Nothing. Apple, Steve Jobs knows nothing. Yet the cash reserve of Apple is greater than the total reserve of Ghana and Nigeria put together. One company. But Steve Jobs knew nothing about what? Finance. Competence you can hide. Character you can never hide. Conviction you can never hide. So, let's move. So, why are we far behind? 3 questions. Is it an issue of luck? Is it an issue of legacy? Or is it an issue of leadership? Some people say, oh, you are lucky. You are lucky. Some people say, oh, your parents built businesses and left it for you. Legacy. So people see people and say, oh, they are lucky people. He's lucky, on the eye lucky pa. And now, oh, no papa Janiska. Oh, company no co school buy, then cocoa brochure or buy a company, no papa see that legacy or leadership. My answer is leadership. There are people who are left with billions. Today are broke. Mike Tyson is one of them. Mike Tyson was a boxer for 11 solid years, heavyweight champion. In that 11 years, he earned $550 million. $55 million every year for 10, 11 years. $550 million. 4 years ago, he filed for bankruptcy. He said he's broke. He can't even pay his electricity bill. That's leadership. And that is what I intend to talk about. So this is a lion. This is a lion. At least when I went to school, they showed me that this is a lion. Is it not a lion? Uh-huh. So now I'm correct, right? Uh-huh. It's a lion. This is a lion. Now the lion is not the fastest animal in the forest. It's not. The lion is not the biggest animal in the forest. It is not. The lion is not the tallest animal in the forest. It is not. The lion's face is not the most fearful face in the forest. It is not. Yet, the lion is the king of the jungle. Why? Why will elephants, leopards, all of them pay homage to the lion? That is the difference between a follower and a leader. One word, perspective. When the lion sees an elephant, as big as the elephant is, the lion sees food. When the lion sees, he sights an elephant. As huge as the elephant is, the lion sees the elephant as what? Food. They call it perspective. That's the difference between a follower and a leader. So if you want to lead, you must change your what? Perspective. When people are complaining, you must be rejoicing. Because in the midst of the complaints are opportunities. That's perspective, what you see. When the lion sees a leopard, he sees food. Anything the lion sees, human being, human being, lion sees a human being, the lion sees food. And that is what I call perspective. The difference between where you are and where you want to get to is perspective. Small boy, I entered Africa Online, accountant, finance manager. Met 5 senior managers. 5 senior. Yvette, 2 MBAs. Went to the best school. Samuel Alote, ex-military officer. Well-trained. Russia, US trained. With 3 or 4 MBAs. Mike Bedu, Unilever trained. Sales manager. Robert Sakifio, Achimota Legon, trained. Technical manager. This small boy from Ednaman Secondary School. Ednaman Secondary School. University Mankobi. Miko IPS. Miko Sui Accounting. Look, when I was a lecturer in financial cost and management accounting, there was no way anybody can pass ACCA in Ghana for 12 years without coming to my class. It's not possible. You won't pass. It's as simple as that. You won't do what? Pass. You must go through a this class. 12 years running. ACCA Ghana gave me an award. And then I stopped teaching. There was nobody better in teaching than I. In cost accounting, management accounting, finance. Obi fail. She's over my class. Because when I was at IPS for 4 years that I was there, I never wrote an answer in my book. When I give you my notebook today, it's all questions. I never wrote an answer in class. Because I was determined that my classmates, I'll teach them. To teach them, I had to go ahead of them, isn't it? That's another story that we are dealing with leadership. This is what we call self-leadership. And that is what I want to talk to you because you are young guys. And I want to talk to you about self-leadership. How do you secure the mandate to lead? How do you lead yourself, lead others, so that you can influence in a different way? So I want to talk about self-leadership. This is an ancient law of progress. And I've said this over and over. You heard the clip. An army of a sheep led by a lion will always defeat an army of a lion led by a sheep. It's as simple as that. Everything is leadership. Because everything is what? Perspective. When the leader thinks we'll win, we'll win. When he thinks we'll lose, we'll lose. When he thinks he has a weak team, the team will be weak. It's as simple as that. So, and I'll quickly go through this. Self-leadership is leading yourself. 50% of your time you are leading yourself. 50% of the time you are leading yourself. So your time management, Mauna talked about that. How you relate with people is all attributes of self-leadership. 15% of the time you are leading people under you. 15% you are leading peers. And 20% of the time you are leading your bosses. Those who get up the ladder quickly are those who are able to manage their bosses better. Manage their bosses' time. Set their table. You know your boss will be in by 8. The newspaper is there. The tea is ready. The coffee is ready. The meeting is set up. You are managing your boss. He thinks he's the boss. You are the boss. You know. But that is not what. Okay. So the journey begins with submission and humility and mentorship. How do you lead yourself? There are 3 things you must do. Anybody who is arrogant has no business in the land of leadership. Anybody who is arrogant has no business in the land of leadership. Anybody who is arrogant has no business in the land of what? Leadership. You must be what? Humble. I was walking through Asalam Down, and then I saw a firm. I told you I've never written application, right? Okay. So I saw a firm, and the firm was Owusu and Fiajo, affiliate of Ernst & Young. I was walking near Asalam Down from Kembeto. You know, I was doing mining work. So I had closed, and I was going to Circle. I was walking in the one shoe that I had. So I was walking. And as I was walking through Asalam Down, I saw a company, says Owusu and Fiajo, into brackets, affiliate of Ernst & Young. I looked at her. So the following day when I was passing, I decided to go and check. So I went through the reception, and as I entered the reception, a certain gentleman came out of one of the offices. God is good, oh. When he also say Eddie, you know I was teaching, you know that. So when he came, he said, "Oh, say Eddie, say, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm here to see the boss." He said, "Oh, Mr. Fiajo." So he asked the secretary, "Oshawo, see Oshawo." So the boy entered the boss's office, partner's office, and said, "I'm sure he told him that my lecturer is looking for you. I'm sure." And when you hear lecturer, he ushered me in like. So the man said, "Oh, let him come." So I entered. And Fiajo said, "I hear you are a lecturer." I said, "Yes." So what are you doing here? I said, "I'm looking for a job." This is 28 or something May 1995. I said, "I'm looking for a job." He said, "What can you do?" I said, "Oh, I have one more level to qualify." So, "Oh, really?" "Yeah." "So where are you from?" And I said, "Cape Coast." "Oh, yeah, Fantinya. Interpret age, ma'am." I said, "Yes." "When can you start?" I said, "Oh, 1st June. So, Kwanabra. So that was how I got there. That is how I got the job. As simple as that. So when I'm searching for a job, I don't understand why it's difficult, because it was simple for me. So I don't understand why it's difficult for you, but simple for me. So here I am with one level to qualify, now at Osu and Fiajo, and for some reason, it may be divine intervention, Mr. Fiajo loved me like something. Maybe my work. You call me, auditing firm, those things, white shirt. Your shirt must be white or blue. So I'll be in my white shirt. You call me. One for to mom, then I'll go. Then the man will remove his shoe. It's mom. In my white shirt. But I'll take it. And I'll go and what? Polish it and bring it. When it's done eating, you call me to go and wash the bowl. I'll go and... Not one moment did I frown. You know what that did for me? There was no big job Ernst & Young would do that I wouldn't be part of the team. Every big job, I did Commercial Bank. I did Takwa Goldfields, South Africa, Takwa Goldfields. I did Golden Rule. I did all the big jobs. I was part of the team. When I left in 1998 and went to Kumasi Brewery, this man, Mr. Fiajo, drove from Accra to Kumasi to come and convince me to come back. Because Goldfields was due. And the only 3 people, Goldfields, because it's a mining firm, it's a specialized area for auditing. And only 3 of us could do it. So he came, my boss, so he came. So, bra. I came back. I left Kumasi Brewery. I was there 2 months. With a son Benjamin, and I left. He was shocked and came back. Meanwhile, Fiajo's pay was low. Kumasi Brewery was high. My girlfriend was but you see, it's the relationship. Now, my relationship with Fiajo was as a result of what? Submission and what? Humility. Jesus had 12 disciples. But we read an account of 3 of them always at places where tricks have to be shown. So when Jesus needs to do some tricks, you take some 3 Peter, John, and James. Then you take them. They will see the tricks. The other 9, they will be sleeping. Why? Because of what? Submission and what? Humility. Because leadership is not learned to. Leadership is practice. You go to school. I went to Gimpa. Professor Adai. He was one of my mentors. So I took breast school. So I went to Gimpa to go and do what they call leadership and what? Governance. What the lecturers were teaching me, I knew already. And they were not practicing it. They were not even practicing. But they call it what? Submission what? Humility. There are people who teach leadership and there are people who practice leadership. You need to get a mentor, and that mentor must be someone who practices what? Leadership. So you can learn at the feet of what? The person. All the tricks I learned in auditing, Fiajo taught me. The other team members, he didn't teach them. So when they are doing their audit report, they default to Ato. Even when they went into industry, they have problems, they call me. You see, because there are tricks that he taught me that they never knew. If you want to make more profit, if you want to pay less tax, it's allowed though, it's not illegal. It's allowed. So let's go on. So how do you progress on this leadership journey? That's what I came to talk to you about. Securing the mandate to lead. How do you progress on this leadership journey? Now stop here. You see there's nothing here. This is like some bare ground somewhere. Desert. Nothing there. Nothing happening there. And that is somebody's vision. Nothing. There's nothing happening there. I call it the foundation of your leadership journey. To secure the mandate to lead, you must pass this test. You must pass what? This test. In 1961, a man who had been appointed president made a speech. In that speech, he said that he was going to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade, 1970. The speech was in 1961. He said by 1970, a man was going to step on the moon. And he is going to make sure that happens. In 1969, a year before the deadline, a man stepped on the moon. Now, the man who said he was going to put a man on the moon was Kennedy in 1961. He did not live to see it. But what he said happened in 1969, 8 years after. He said we'll do it in what? 10 years. They did it in 8 years. So in 1969, a certain man with the same name as the MC, Neil Armstrong, with two of his colleagues, stepped on the moon, recorded as probably the first humans who stepped on the moon. The Russians disagree. The Americans say that's the history. Russia says that's not the history. Americans say that's the history. They are fighting over history, like we are fighting over history. Now, why did that happen? Because there was a purpose. But that is not the interesting part of the conversation. The interesting part is that when the spacecraft took off from the Kennedy Space Center in 1969, the average age of the engineers and the scientists, listen well, the average age of the engineers and scientists who made this possible was 28 years. Remember, this happened in 1969. Kennedy had made a statement when 1961. 8 years, right? It means that at the time Kennedy made the statement, the average age of the engineers was what? 20. How do you marshal 20-year-olds to buy into a reason for living on earth, to the extent that they spend 20 hours each day at the Kennedy Space Center, making sure that what the leader said comes to pass. Only one reason explains that. And that reason is what? Purpose. Your life is meaningless without purpose. A leader without purpose is like a fish out of water onto bare ground. When you put a fish out of water onto bare ground, what happens? Dies. If you want to secure the mandate to lead yourself, lead your family, lead your community, the first thing you must have is what I call what? Purpose. Purpose. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I getting up at 4 a.m.? When I was at IPS, I was the only one who was showing movies on campus. So I'll go to Ghana Films, rent movies, come and show it at our great hall. At night, when my colleagues are sleeping and learning, I go through East Legon, Adjiringano, Medina, Adenta, putting posters on the wall, saying that Meba will show at IPS, Dede will show at IPS, looking for money, so that when they are doing regular 3 years to pass level 1, I am going to use the same 3 years to qualify. So that when they are in school, I leave school and go to the law school for extra classes. SAR School of Accountancy for extra classes. So I can write the professional course ahead of the timetable of IPS. So when they were using 10 years to qualify, I was using 5 years. Because I was learning ahead of time. You know, my purpose was to teach them. So to teach them, I must be what? Ahead of them. Simple. So my mates and my seniors, and my seniors were my students. Achimotens, Adisadel. I didn't go there, but I taught them. You see the difference? It is driven by something we call what? Purpose. It says, I am God and there is no other. I am God and there is none like me. Declaring the end from the beginning. Meaning that before the end, he's created it already. He creates the end before he starts. When you create the end before you start, it is purpose. When you see it, it is vision. People don't follow leaders because they are visionary. That is why Africa is in crisis. Because Africa says, you must have, I heard visionary. You must follow a visionary leader. You are dead if you are following a visionary leader. Follow someone who lives life with what? Purpose. The reason we are doing what we are doing, it means we have, the end game is in mind. Now, when you see the end game at the beginning, it is called what? Vision. So the first principle is what? The first foundation is what? Purpose. You must have what? A purpose. So that's the foundation. This building has a beam. The architects will tell you. Isn't it? So there's a foundation. Without the foundation, nothing starts, right? So the foundation to secure your mandate to lead is purpose. The beams that will hold the building, 2 beams. This guy here, yesterday, nearly 4:30. When I go home at 1 a.m., instead of sleeping, I didn't sleep. I was watching the athletics till 3 when I slept. Then at 5, I was told that it's 5. Oh! So I got up. And I was watching this. You know what happened yesterday? Let me tell you. What happened yesterday? If I tell you, let me tell you. Yesterday, hey, There were 8 people in the tracks, 100 meters. You know the referee will say, on your marks, right? Then you say what? Set. When he says set, then somebody took off. What do you think they will do? Disqualify. Do you know where that person was from? Oh, Lesotho. And I'm told that Lesotho is in Africa. Oh! Oh! Then hit number 3. I didn't sleep. You know I told you. Hit number 3. Another one, on your marks. They all on their marks. Get set. Then another person took off. What did they do? Disqualify. Do you know where that person is also from? Should I tell you? Do you want to know? South Africa. South Africa is where? Oh! It's Ado, Africa. Lesotho, South Africa, disqualified. This guy here, with 4 of his friends, went to a teacher and told the teacher that they want to run. They want to what? Run. The teacher said, you want to run? They say, yes. You know Jamaicans, how they speak. Okay, I'll teach you to run. So the teacher said, come. Took them to a board like this, and wrote on the board instructions. Come at 4, 3 p.m., report for training. Don't eat fatty things. Don't eat this. Don't drink Coke and soda and those things. You must only drink water. Give them instructions. The following day, all 5 of them appeared. All 5 appeared. By the end of the first week, 1 had dropped. By the end of the 6th month, 4 had dropped. It was left with 1 person. That person is this guy. A recent documentary I watched on Usain Bolt on one of the DSTV channels. That coach said, when the 5 of them came, this guy was not the best. He was not the best. But this guy is a champion of the world. And that is the beam. So first, he had a purpose to lead. Somebody was saying that in boxing, Ali, in football, Pele, in athletics, Usain Bolt. They are making history. They are rewriting history because they are leading in their areas of expertise. Usain Bolt. This guy runs and gets 13,500 per second. Every second. Every second. You know I've said every second tries. By that time, we told him 13,500 by 9.58 seconds. Or by 10 seconds. 135,000 for 10 seconds. Less than a minute. Some of you, I tell you, if we don't. If Pastor Neil does not actually lay hands on you, $135,000 in your lifetime, it will be very long. Usain Bolt gets it in 10 seconds. Using the same legs God gave you, you are using to walk. You are using yours to walk. Let's move. This guy here is called Haile Gabriel Selassie. For a long time, 10,000, 5,000 marathon champion. And I'm going to tell you the 2 reasons I brought them, because the beams are 2. Lived with his stepbrother who didn't want him to go to school. So in the morning, when they all get up and they are getting ready to go to school, the stepmother will send this guy to go and deliver a message. So every morning, there's a message to be delivered. Now, for Haile Gabriel Selassie to go to school, he needs to run to go and deliver the message so he can come back on time to go to school. The stepmother thought he was doing the guy. She didn't know that she was only preparing this guy for greatness. Stepmother sends me, I run, I come back, now I can run and be paid. That is how he became a world champion. Initiated by something that somebody meant for negative. That turned to be what? positive. So the two beams, purpose is not enough. You need two other things. The first one I call passion. Whatever job you are doing, whatever area you are in, sales, customer service, marketing, finance, whatever you are in, do it and do it well. Do it and do it what? Well. Do it as if it is yours. Sacrifice for it as if the benefit is wholly yours. And I can tell you that you will definitely rise to the top. But you must also have what? Principles to live your life. There are things I do this guy will never do. There are things that I do this guy will never do. Lionel Messi said, for 12 years, when my friends are playing, I can't go and play with them because I am told to sleep when they are playing. That's Lionel Messi. When somebody took 8-year-old boy and moved him from Argentina through to Spain at age 8, they needed to prepare him. He could only do what he's doing today because he's what? Passionate. So if you want to move up the ladder, whatever you've been given, whatever small you've been given, if you are the tea maker in the office, do it with joy. If you are a seamstress, sew people's dresses with joy. If you are a musician, sing with joy, pay or no pay. When David was playing his harp to animals, and sheep were dancing to David, David's audience was sheep. They were dancing. He didn't know that some people have been walking around and seeing him. When the king needed somebody to play the harp, I say, I know a man, when he plays to sheep, cry, they dance, then you human being. He did it with what? Passion to animals. He says a lion will come and grab one. Animal, I will go after the lion, grab the lion and take the sheep back, the lamb back. Isn't it? You know what he was doing? Passion. He lived with principles. It doesn't matter who it is. It is wrong if you grab this one. It is wrong when you grab this one. If you don't have principles to live your life with, anything goes. You should be able to walk out of job on the basis of what? Principle. When somebody disagrees with me and walks out on the basis of principle, I appreciate the person. Because he's living by his what? Principles. You see this place? Who can tell me where it is? Where? That is Dubai. This is Dubai, oh. This is Dubai. For those who have not gone there, this is Dubai. You've not gone there, look at this, you've gone to Dubai. When you go home, they tell you what happened. Say, at least, I saw Dubai. That's all, it's enough. So this is Dubai. This place was a desert. It was like Elmina or Jamestown. It was a fishing community. Fishing. Like Jamestown, like Elmina, or like Cape Coast, where I come from. But it has been transformed to the state you see now. The tallest building, 830 meters, Burj Khalifa, is in Dubai. It's called Burj Khalifa. 830 meters. It's like a football field, 8.5 times. That's how long the building is. The longest lift in any building is there, 530 meters long. It's in Dubai. A place that 40 years ago was a fishing community. That is what is taking me to the pillars. So you need a foundation, you need the beams, then you need what? Pillars. So that the building will what? Stand. So that your leadership will stand the test of time. The question is, how did this man How did they transform from a fishing community to a place like this, where the tallest building and the most amazing things happen? How? In 1985, Dubai, they had no airline. Ghana had Ghana Airways. 1985, they had no airline. The carriers were coming in from other places. Ghana had what? Ghana Airways. Fast forward. You fast forward. Today, Emirates in 2016 was adjudged 2016, the number 1 airline in the world. The recent awards in 2017, they are number 4, overtaken by Qatar, Singapore, and some airline in Japan, Air Nippon or something like that. Number 4. Zero, they have 242 aircrafts. They have the best aircrafts in the world. The best big aircrafts are all in Emirates. 242. They have 260 more airlines on order, planes on order. 260 plus 244, 502 planes, individual planes. The question is, how did a place that was a desert, with nothing to feed on except fish, transform itself to have the tallest building in the world, costing 1.5 billion? You know what 1.5 billion can do for us? 1.5 billion to put up a building, one building. Is because the pillars were right. So what are the pillars? The first one is preparation. Preparation. Whatever your purpose is, you have to prepare to make it happen. Whatever your purpose is, you have to do what? Prepare to make it happen. And I always say that no champion is crowned in the ring. Champions are only recognized in the ring. It means that they are crowned before they enter. XYZ radio hosted Azuma Nelson a couple of days ago. And Azuma Nelson said that he knew he was a world champion before he entered the ring. And you can only know you are a world champion before you enter the ring if you have what? Prepared. You must have your priorities right. So being here is the right thing to do. Being here is the right thing to do. Instead of being home, watching some television, or walking around with friends, or visiting friends, you are here. You are setting your priorities right. And I can see you are on your way to leadership. Priorities. You must have a plan. You must have a plan. There are things you can do, men, when married, that you cannot do when married. I'm telling you. There are things you can do when you are not married that you can't do when you are married. I'm telling you. Look, that is the fact. I'm telling you. I've been there. I am there. So I know what it is. You want to take some decision and make some move for your wife and children. You can't do that. They'll suffer too much. If you are not married, free bonto. After all. So there are some risks. That is why most entrepreneurs started when they were not married. They were in school. Otherwise, their wives will be telling them what their parents were telling them. I took you to school, you finish. Go and look for some job at MTN. Vodafone. Go and look for some bank. Let them pay you. At 60, you retire. And 3 years after you die. 63. Statistics shows that people who work one place for 30, 35 years who retire at 60, die at 63. I'm telling you, because they retire broke. And there's nothing like retiring broke. So you must have what? A plan. You cannot do anything without people. Relationship is key. Be nice to everybody. The guy sitting by you, I'm not sure if you know him. Introduce yourself. He might be chief of staff soon. This is the only chance. Oh, you might be president. Oh, you don't know. You might be president. Oh, you might be looking for a job. You enter this guy. Or better now, cry on person to clean pin. Or so when I am a teacher, I was in pin. So be nice. Oh, I'm telling you, be nice to everybody. In the trotro, be nice. In the taxi, be nice. Here, be nice. If you see me, be nice. Persistence. Let me tell you one story. Let me tell you a story. There was a fight in Kinshasa. You people are too young. You have to read to know all these things. You have to read. If you want to lead, you must read. Hey, read. Papa. There was a fight in Kinshasa. For old people, they will remember. Muhammad Ali and Foreman. They called it Rumble of the Jungle or something. In Kinshasa. That fight was put together by a man called Don King. It was one of his major breakthroughs. Don King went to Ali and said, I want you to fight Foreman. They both agreed. They put their money on the cards. Don King needed $5 million to put the five together. Poor young man wants to be in the promotion business. Now he's a big promoter, very rich. He even promoted Azuma Nelson. He promoted the big fight. Jeff Fenech, big. Hey, he has some white hair and some beard and all of that. He's called Don King. Go and Google him. So, you know what he did? He sat down at 1 a.m. one night. Picked up an A4 paper, which you have in your house or office. Don't steal from office, it's bad. Those of you who steal and go and give it to your children, the paper and things is bad. So, he wrote 100 names. 100 names, 100 of the wealthiest people at the time. And decided to go to them one by one. So he comes to Mauna. Mauna says, I won't do it. Cancels Mauna's name. Next person on the list, Josh, goes to Josh. Josh says, you won't do it. You cancel it. And in America, it's big. So he was moving from state to state by bus. Because he has an idea. He wants to put that. He needs money. He didn't have money. Place to place. So the 53rd person was the president of Zaire, who said that I will host the fight and pay everything so that my country will be big. Everybody will see that Zaire, Kinshasa, is a big country. How much? He says 5 million. 5 million only. Call Central Bank. 5 million paid. But it is what? Persistence. 30 what? 53rd person. So it means that 52 people on the list had said what? No. But he kept what? Going. He kept going. That was Don King's what? Breakthrough. If you want to lead, you can't fold your hands when they say no. The word that is never used in Dubai, 2 words, they don't use it. 1 is limitation. 2 is impossible. If the man, the ruler of Dubai calls you, we want to do this and say, oh, this one, it will be difficult, you are fired. Because there's nothing like difficulty. There's nothing like limitation. There is nothing like what? Impossible as a leader. Once you have these traits, you will be there. And finally, my last one, the roof. You know this place? No. Have you seen this building before? Where? What do you think it is? Australia. Any ideas? Singapore. Yes, sir. Nigeria. Are you sure it's in Nigeria? How many of you believe it's in Nigeria? How many of you don't believe? Don't believe that it's in Nigeria? plenty ants. But the guy is right. This building is coming up. It's not up yet. It's coming up in Nigeria. This is the auditorium of Winners Chapel, Bishop David Oyedepo's chapel. This auditorium is being built to sit 100,000 people at a go. He says he wants to preach to 100,000 people seated, not standing, no, seated at a time. It is only a man with a purpose, driven by principles and passion, powered by preparation, plan, persistence, who is capable of making this happen. But all that you think of and dream of, a man, you are in the hands of somebody. You can call that person Allah. You can call that person God. You can call that person Jinyami. You can call that person a stone. But every human being must believe in something. And that something you believe in is what you pray to. And as you pray to it, and you put faith to it, and you take the steps and live right, all that shall purpose in your heart shall come to pass. I wish you well.
People simply just can't hide the joy with which they came here with, and as to whether the expectations were met, I'm joined by these two, this beautiful lady here and this gentleman here. Let me find out from you, as the saying goes, ladies first. The program is over. I mean, we've had a lot of speakers speak to us today on leadership and all of that. Personally, what do you make of today's program?
I think today's program has been a great impact to me personally, because I thought being a leader is all about buying the big cars, the houses, you know, making people knowing you in society. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that in the sense that being a leader, you need to be very, very authentic. You need to be very. You should think about your people and a whole lot. So actually, I think the seminar went on very well, and I quite love the latter part. I mean, the last part. Mr. Ato.
Okay, Ato Sapon.
Yeah, he's very interesting. I mean, the way he went about with his lecture was good. So yeah.
Okay, obviously you did enjoy the program. Let me also find out from you, what impression do you make of the program so far?
Amazing. It's really, really amazing. For some time I've been following Radio XYZ. They recently came their TV as well. And I realized that most of the programs by this particular station, in fact, most of them are really commendable. I normally follow Prince Menka, your morning host on the Morning Express, and I realized that, in fact, the program is so much detailed and so much educative that it has really given exposure to most of us who don't really follow XYZ initially. But now we have realized that the kind of exposure being given by this particular news station has really transcended beyond expectations. And to climax it all, by bringing on board a program such as Leading July, which I've followed from the beginning of July till now, I've seen that has really exposed me. Most of the speakers here are really, really very exposed, endowed, and are gurus in their various fields. This leadership has really exposed with the coming one, that is the emerging youth, that look, the leadership trend has to be changed. Looking at the exposure that we have been given, I think it's really a whole lot of luxury for all of us to learn from and pick it from there.
Okay,